Okay, here we are. It's the morning now, the following day. This is the same place where we dropped anchor last night and spent the night. Uh, Getting up pretty early. Sun was just barely coming up. Softly clouds, but they were in the opposite direction from where I was going, so I decided to go ahead and take off. For some reason, it got pretty bad. I would just go ahead and come back and stick around the area here, but it turned out these clouds went away pretty quick. Uh, Now we're heading out to a town called Port Heron. Now that's almost right at the edge of going into Lake Ontario. I'm sorry, Lake Huron. Uh, so we'll be going through the Detroit River now, going to Lake St. Clair, which is a short crossing across the lake, and then we're going to the Lake St. Clair River, which would put us in the bottom part of Lake Huron, which that would start our trip.
Now, once we do get to Lake Heron, hopefully it'll take us maybe 5 to 6 days to go from the bottom part of Lake Heron all the way on up to the top, right around Mackinac City, Mackinac Bridge, which would that's the start of Lake Michigan, and we'd be heading down on Lake Michigan uh, towards Chicago. And once we get to Chicago, you'll be going down the Illinois River till we get up to the Mississippi River. But anyway, that's still further, quite a bit further now. Uh, Here we are going on the inlet, the Detroit River, and we'll be going into Lake St. Clair here shortly. It's a fairly short run on Lake St. Clair, and then the Lake St. Clair. There's a river that connects Lake St. Clair and Lake Huron together, and that is also a short river, so it won't take us long to get through. Here we are coming into Port Huron, and I had a hard time trying to get in here because there were so many sailboats going out. It just so happens that I got here on the day that they were having a sailboat race. Uh, it's a yearly event where they run from here, Port Huron, all the way up to Mackinac Island, and it's all pretty much sailboats. You'll see some professional sailboats going about, but they were coming out the whole time I was trying to come in. So it kind of took me a while. Even the Coast Guard and the Sheriff's Department were out there on their boats trying to direct the traffic so that you wouldn't be stopping these boats that are going out, because the race is actually getting ready to start. So what they're doing is they're all lining up right as you get in, right as they get out of the river here and Lake Huron. They line up there, and then that's where they actually end up taking off on the race. And what they do is I guess they pull numbers or whatever, and whoever gets number one, for example, that's the first boat that takes off. And when he takes off, they record the time that he took off, and then whoever is boat number two will come up to the line, and then they'll give him the signal to take off, and they record his time when he leaves, so that they all have to report in at the end in Mackinac Island as they're coming in. Someone on that end is recording who the boat is and what time they came in, and that's how they figure who wins the race. Whoever does the best time ends up winning the race. Uh, Here I'm trying to come into the marina here and trying to pick up some fuel. It's still pretty early in the morning, so I really don't want to stop. What I might do is go ahead and uh, go in and grab something to eat after I fuel, and then maybe go ahead and take off. Uh, by then, most of these boats would have been out on Lake Huron already and out of the way. Uh, I'm not going to be out there in the middle of the lake like these guys are going to be. They have to stay in pretty deep waters. So they kind of take a straight shot from the lake straight into Mackinac Island, which would be heading in the middle of the lake would be the best way to do it. Ensure that you got plenty of deep water. Here's one of those professional sailing boats right in front of us here. Uh, these guys got a lot of money invested in these boats, and they do a pretty good job as far as they have a team that I guess practice day in and day out with this boat and trying to come up with tweaking it and trying to get the best times and the best way to set it up. Uh, it didn't disappear, okay? It wasn't like some alien came and took the boat. I just cut the film off, cut part of it off, just to make it a little bit shorter. And as you can see, there's tons of sailboats still going out. So I'm going to go ahead and fuel up. Once I pick up the fuel, this is one of the places that had pretty good price on fuel. It was under $6. So I thought, well, might as well fuel up. And there's really nowhere to tie up on the docks out here because of these sailboats. Everything was taken up. There was one restaurant, as you'll see here as I start making the turn, that I happened to see while I was putting fuel. I happened to notice the dock there, and it was for a restaurant. So I figured, well, maybe I can tie up there and at least grab something to eat and then take off again. Because, like I said, it's still pretty early in the morning. Maybe I'll get a couple more hours in or something like that. And cut down my time a little bit. I'm not that far away from Lake Huron, actually. I am basically about 10 miles out, and then I'll be on Lake Huron. And not sure where in Lake Huron I want to make a stop at yet because I haven't really looked at a map. But as long as the day is good, I'm going to try and run a good 4 or 5 hours today. So far, everything seems to be running good. And the problems so far have been minimal, just little things here and there, your day-to-day stuff that goes on, but nothing to worry about. I've been able to go ahead and take care of the little problems here and there. I did break my transducer on my depth finder, so I had to figure a way to kind of rig that thing on there just to keep it on there till I can get a new transducer put on there. It's some areas really pretty deep water, so it's no big deal. But as you start coming into marinas and docks and stuff like that, you have to be real careful about shallow water. But because I only draw 18 inches to 24 inches, I can literally see the bottom just before I hit bottom. So it's not that big of a deal for me. But for some large boats like sailboats and trawlers, the big 30-40 foot trawlers, those things draw 3.5 to 4 feet. Some even go all the way up to 5 feet. They're the ones that have to be real careful where they're cruising, because if they hit bottom, it takes a lot to get them off the bottom. And Lake Michigan, or all the lakes here, from my understanding, the majority of it is rocks down there at the bottom. In Florida, we have sand. If you run aground, well, you could do a little bit of damage. If you run aground on rocks, you're going to do some serious damage to the bottom of your boat. Here I am, and I went ahead and tied up and didn't, like I said, I went ahead and just grabbed something to eat here, and then decided to go ahead and take off. Uh, Again, trying to cover as much space as I can. But I needed time to let these boats come in and out, all these sailboats that were going out actually. I didn't want to be in their way, uh, normally because they're giving the sailboats the right of way. So because they're all trying to line up and get ready to get to take off on the race, all sailboats that are in the race they're giving them the right of way, and the sheriff's department and the Coast Guard's out there watching that they do have the right of way. So I figured, well, if I can stay here for an hour or two, that should be enough time to get all these sailboats out of the way, and I can go ahead and take off again. But you'll see some more video here of the sailboats and all. Now I did walk around here in Port Huron, and it's not a bad little town. I kind of like it. Uh, Down to earth, tons of people. Uh, they were now the park has kind of filled out, and a lot of the people have already left and gone. Uh, so I'm pretty much getting ready to go ahead and take off and head down to Lake Heron and start my, hopefully will be 5 day, maybe 6 days at the most. All depends on weather. Weather permitting, I should be able to take off and be up toward Mackinac Island about 3 4 days maybe. Just depends how much I can travel and the weather. Uh, I finally went ahead and after I got done eating and stuff, went ahead and got on board and started her up and took off again. Uh, it's pretty nice now. As you can see, a lot of the big boats are basically gone. There's still some boats still in the marina that I guess they're waiting to go out. Uh, but you can see uh, it's starting to empty out. All this places in here, all this docks, all the slips were one after the other. They were completely full, and they were even tying up next to each other, right in the middle of where all the docks were. And here's a couple more boats still going out, so they're still trying to get out there so they can start the race. They all have to be out there. Here we are going down St. Clair, uh, Lake St. Clair River. Uh, and as you can see, the current's running pretty good. Shortly, we'll be out on Lake Huron. And here we are. We finally made it out to Lake Huron. I don't know if you can see it, but way out in the distance there, you can start seeing some of the masts of some of the sailboats. I'm getting a little bit closer, but not too close because they're out in the middle of the lake. And I'm not going to go out that far. But I'm going to try and see if I can just film. What they're doing is they're lining up all the sailboats out there. And you can see these speedboats are going out there. Don't know if they're part of the racing crew or part of the crews that gonna log in or keep track of who's going out and stuff like that. But it looks like they're all getting ready to take off here shortly. It's been a pretty good day so far. Everything's pretty much uneventful. Got beautiful weather out here today. Also, the winds are fair, not too bad. You can see I'm bouncing around a little bit, but not too bad. If you don't see whitecaps out on the water, then you're pretty much safe. Once you start seeing the whitecaps, then that's when the winds start picking up and the waves start getting bigger, and you have to hurry up and find shelter somewhere. But as you can see there's tons of the mass of the boats are out there, and now we're getting a little bit closer there where you can see them up there. they've actually started to take off already. So you can see there's a line forming already, and they're taking off in a certain sequence where they're timed when they take off, and then they're timed when they get to Mackinac Island, and that's how they record the uh, the time. Uh, so far, everything is running pretty good. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to be stopping tonight, but I'll probably run maybe another hour or so. Um, I finally was able to pull into a marina here and decided to go ahead and just spend the day here. I did travel about 4.5 hours today, so I did some pretty good time. But because I left pretty early, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning when I left. I was basically done traveling by 10:30. So I got into the marina here and decided, well, I'll just go ahead and just tie up for the day, get everything ready to take off for tomorrow. Check my fuel, pick up fuel if need be, and look at my next stop. That's normally what I have to do when I tie up or drop anchor somewhere. Is I have to calculate how far I'm going to travel and where I'm going to end up spending the night. Uh, I don't spend the night out on the lake at all. Uh, it's just too hard to determine what the weather's going to do while you're out there because from what I've heard, it can change from 15, 20 minutes. The weather can change pretty bad, and if you're caught out there on the lake, it could be serious. So, like I said, I always stay close enough by the shoreline where I can hug the line and I don't have to worry about it. Uh, this is pretty much the toward the end of this part of the trip. I'm gonna be leaving here. This is the following morning. I'm getting ready to go ahead and untie and pull out of here and look at my next destination and where I'll be going there. Uh, so far, so good. So, like I said, it only gonna take me, I think, 5 days, maybe 6 days, to get through Lake Huron. As long as everything keeps running fine, haven't had any major issues. Like I said earlier, the only big issue that I had was I broke the transducer off of my depth finder, and I think that happened when I, by accident, not by accident, I ran it up to a beach, and I should have pulled the transducer up and out of the water, but I didn't. But hey, it happens. Uh, this is pretty much the following day where I'm going to be taking off. After spending the night here, I was able to go ahead and plug in, charge my batteries up some. I actually even washed down the boat a little bit, try to get some of the dirt and stuff on. Boat's taking a pretty good beating. I wish I could clean it every day when I get done, but from one day to the next, it's right back where it was before, so it's kind of hard to keep up with it. So I decided I'm just gonna have to wait till I get home and give it a real good cleaning when I get home, to the point where I might even have to have somebody come out and professionally clean it and buff it out and get it looking like it was before I left Tampa. Uh, but other than that, here we go again. Uh, I'm not exactly sure how far am I going to run today, because today the weather seems to be fairly good, but it does look like we're supposed to get some clouds today. Uh, as long as the clouds don't get too big and the winds don't pick up too bad, I'd like to go ahead and travel another 3 or 4 more hours today and be on my way. Here we are coming out of these all the marinas that are on the lakes here have these breaker walls, and obviously they're there for a reason. So, if that doesn't tell you that things can go wrong while you're on the lake, this here's the proof right here. There's not one marina that I haven't seen on Lake Erie or Lake Huron that doesn't have these takeaways. But, you know, here we are starting the next day.